Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is a game that certainly isn't lacking in things to discover and observe. But chances are you've already heard me say this intro over a dozen times now, so we'll cut to the chase. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy, as we take another look at 10 tiny references, Easter eggs, allusions, and details that you may have missed in The Elder Scrolls V. Part 15. Kicking us off at number 1, just a ways east of the Thalmor Embassy, in Hoffingarhold's mountainous peaks, I think I pronounced that hold's name properly, you can stumble upon quite an interesting bundle of human remains. A skeleton lays somewhat buried in blood-stained snow, with a plethora of steel weapons pinned into it. Quite ironically, however, just next to this man's body is a book, a light armor skill book. Evidently, this fallen man's research wasn't enough to fully protect him against the weapons being wielded by whatever opponents he was facing. Though, interestingly, also nearby the skeleton is a staff of fire, as well as a knapsack with some ingredients inside of it, both resting against a tree, suggesting this man was a mage and that possibly may have had something to do with his fate. Next on our list, speaking of armor, steel plate armor is among my personal favorite sets in the game. It gives the player a bit of a knight in shining armor look. The apparel can be found at quite a low level, often being the protection of choice used by bandit chiefs. Considering its high damage protection and low carry weight, it's often a go-to set early in game for many players. But despite this popularity, what you may have missed about this particular armor set is that on its helmet is a small series of Daedric runes, or characters/letters, that can be found. Now, lucky us, in the Elder Scrolls, the Daedric language is essentially just Roman Latin, with a bit of a different font attached to it, so translation is fairly uncomplicated. The Daedric runes on the helmet simply translate to the words Nord Plate when in English, so it's nothing particularly climactic. Yet it does raise some questions behind who exactly is carving these phrases into our helmets. I mean, the common blacksmith in Skyrim probably doesn't understand Daedric, and if they do, well, props to Skyrim's education system, I guess. Coming in at number 3, during the quest, The Fallen, the player, with the help of Whiterun's Jarl, will attempt and ultimately succeed in trapping a dragon named Odahviing in Dragon's Reach. The plan is for the player to use a shout to lure the beast into the area, and then proceed to use Dragon's Reach's already existing dragon trapping infrastructure to capture it. As the quest kicks off and Odahviing makes his spectacular entrance, he'll grab a Whiterun guard, or Stormcloak soldier depending on the player's progress in the Civil War, and fling the poor soul off the balcony. Now, this seems like a fairly insignificant death, and you have much more important things to worry about at the moment, like an actual dragon, than the falling of some nameless guard. But while you might have forgotten about this guard, Bethesda evidently didn't. Because after you've trapped Odahviing and the quest is completed, should you decide to venture to just below the Dragon's Reach balcony where the guard was thrown, you can find his or her corpse lying in a small pool of blood. It's important to note that the Dragon's Reach balcony where this guard was thrown from initially is separated by a loading screen from where you'll find his corpse, implying that Bethesda put quite a lot of thought into this. For a fourth spot, just east of Tumble Arch Pass in the Pale, is yet another half-buried-in-snow skeleton. This one clutching onto a shrine of Julianos. Julianos is one of the 9 divines, god of wisdom and logic. His shrine's blessing offers characters plus 25 points in magicka. However, funnily enough, according to books found in the game, his blessing also grants increased intelligence to those who reap it, making it a tad ironic that someone was probably naked and in the freezing cold, not a very intelligent move if you ask me, while trying to earn his blessing. Halfway through at number 5, the Songs of the Returnbook series can be found across Skyrim. Its volumes tell the tale of Ysgramor and his 500 companions in epic fashion. Well, in the 7th volume of the collection, a companion referred to as Clu who went by Lot when hiding his face is briefly mentioned and attributed to a quote. It may not seem like much, but that character, Clu, is actually a very clever reference to former NFL Minnesota Vikings punter Chris Clu, who is known to be an avid gamer and goes by the online alias Lot whenever playing. Even has a still active Reddit profile, u/Lot, where he often comments on Warcraft and Path of Exile subreddits. According to Clu, on Reddit, he was never made aware of the Easter egg ahead of time by Bethesda. Instead, he just happened to stumble upon it himself when playing. That's gotta be a pretty welcome surprise, playing a game for so long, only to realize that you've actually been a character within it all this time. Number 6, Hermaeus Mora is the Daedric Prince of Knowledge and Memory. He serves as a central character across the Dragonborn DLC questline, but he also has a much smaller role in vanilla Skyrim as well. In the vanilla game, Hermias Mora offers the Daedric quest, Discerning the Transmundane. In it, he'll appear as a large black abyss, and request that the Dragonborn assist him in gathering some blood. That appearance is fairly important, because he only appears as a large black abyss if you do not have the Dragonborn DLC installed. If you do, his appearance will change to better mimic the one he has in the DLC. But that's not the only way the vanilla game will make changes based off what's added in by the DLC. Because if you've completed the Dragonborn DLC's quests before beginning Discerning the Transmundane, Hermias Mora will actually comment on your work in Apocrypha and Solstheim, saying that he's been watching you ever since you defeated Murak. It's pretty cool that Bethesda decided to go back and alter the vanilla game to make it better suit some of the changes brought in by the DLC. Most players who played the Dragonborn DLC had already long since completed that Daedric quest for Hermias Mora, but Bethesda decided to go back and tweak it just in case. At number 7, because ironic deaths have sort of become a theme to this video, north of Southfringe Sanctum, slumped against a tree in the freezing cold, is a decapitated skeleton, with the offending axe still lodged into the bark behind him. Next to the skeleton will be a chest with some leveled loot inside of it, as well as a copy of the book, The Warrior's Charge. It's actually a poem that tells the tale of a Redguard warrior charging into battle. And apparently this skeleton must have taken that advice a little too literally, and has paid the ultimate price. Moving on to our 8th spot, in previous videos we've discussed Giant Nirnru Island, a large island in Solstheim as a part of the Dragonborn DLC that's covered in gigantic Nirnrus. Well, in vanilla Skyrim, if you head on over to Blackreach, the player can encounter a similar phenomenon happening with glowing mushrooms. If you enter the Dwemer ruin nearby Ulfdand, you'll see a massive cluster of glowing mushrooms, quite possibly dozens of times larger than the size that they typically appear. Normally, glowing mushrooms are remarkably small, but something about Blackreach has made this bunch unique. Normal glowing mushrooms can be harvested and used as ingredients in potions. Well, these big ones aren't the exception. It's possible to harvest these oversized fungi, however they're located in such a position where they will require the help of console commands in order to reach. But who'd want to disturb such a wonder anyway? Getting close to the end here at number 9, we have the lovely story of Telrav. He's a wounded Imperial that can be found on the side of a road leading to Iverstead. When approached, he'll claim that he was the victim of a caravan ambush robbery, and needs you to help escort him back to his camp. Being the good Samaritan that you are, you'll end up following him to Nilheim, a small fortified encampment with a few guards, or at least NPCs named guard, you may see where I'm going here with this one, standing around it. Once on site, Telrav will suspiciously ask you to wait right there while he goes to gather your compensation. But instead of getting you your rightfully earned money, he and the camp guards will turn on you and attack. This isn't a merchant's camp, this is a scheme orchestrated by bandits, and Telrav is in on it. Well, that name, Telrav, is actually a bit of an Easter egg. Spelled backwards, Telrav is varlet, a word referring to a dishonest or otherwise unprincipled man, which we happen to think suits Telrav just fine. Luckily, because let's face it, it's not a brilliant idea to attack the guy in full Dragonborn armor, you can dispatch of Telrav and all of his minions. And finally, last on our list, after you've begun the Thieves Guild quest, A Chance Arrangement, which, spoiler alert, it's both the first Thieves Guild quest and it's mandatory to complete to advance the main quest line, there's a small possibility of a new, rather hilarious random encounter involving a member of the guild. Between 10 o'clock PM and 4 o'clock AM, on the streets of Riften, you can stumble upon a thief desperately trying to pick the lock to enter a home or business. This mischievous individual will always be caught red-handed by the local guards. After being discovered, he lets out a terrified scream and attempts to flee. The guards will usually end up pursuing and ultimately killing the character, though sometimes the thief may escape into a nearby building. Depending on how you feel, you can intervene and either help out a fellow member of the guild by holding the guards off, or personally hunt him down yourself if you want to be a bit adventurous. Or of course you could do nothing and just watch. This was an encounter I only very recently saw happen for myself, just a couple days ago while replaying the Thieves Guild questline, and I have to say it was very impressive. But anyway, on that note we are going to wrap up. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Which of these was your favorite, and what tiny details, references, or Easter eggs have you uncovered for yourself that you think a lot of others may have missed? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated, and before I let you go, real quick, I would like to give a huge thank you for this channel hitting 100,000 subscribers. That is a massive milestone that I never really until recently thought we'd surpass. I intend to have a much more proper thank you video coming out very soon. But until then, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.